Kumbhakarnas Death. When Rama spared Ravana because of being unarmed, he returned from the battlefield humiliated and insulted. Instead of going back himself to the battlefield again, he decided to send his brother Kumbhakarna to fight against Rama and Lakshman. Kumbhakarna, who used to sleep for 6 months at a time, became furious when he was awakened much before the completion of 6 months period. Ravana explained to him the urgent situation. Hearing that Ravana had kidnapped Rama's wife, Kumbhakarna was frightened and told Ravana that Rama was no ordinary human, but an incarnation of the Lord himself, so Ravana should not battle with him. Instead, he should ask for his forgiveness. Ravana became angry and asked him to stop praising his enemy. Seeing the gigantic Kumbhakarna on the battlefield, the monkeys started fleeing in all directions. Kumbhakarna then grabbed a handful of monkeys and ate them up. Meanwhile, the arrows that Rama and his army fired at Kumbhakarna broke on hitting his strong body. Finding the arrows ineffective, Rama decided to cut off his head. So he flung his chakra, which severed the demon's head. The monkeys came back once again and rejoiced to see the dead body of the giant demon. The magical herb. Seeing his brother's severed head, Ravana was grief-stricken. Kumbhakarna's death was a major loss for the whole of Lanka. Ravana was deeply worried as he could easily see his defeat in the battle with Rama. When Mignas saw his father worried, he consoled him and entered the battlefield once again. With his magical powers, Mignas launched an attack from his flying chariot. Hundreds of monkeys were killed on the spot. He then began a tough fight against Lakshman and ultimately shot his Agni Ban on Lakshman, due to which Lakshman fell unconscious. It was near death. On seeing Lakshman unconscious, Hanuman approached Lanka's royal physician Sushena for advice. Sushena asked Hanuman to rush to the Himalayas, where on Dronagiri hills he would find some medicinal herbs like Mritha Sanjeevani, Vishalya Karani, Sandhana Karani and Savarnya Karani. He asked Hanuman to fetch those herbs. However, on reaching the hills, Hanuman was unable to identify the herbs. So he uprooted the entire hill and brought it to physician Sushena. Sushena picked the 4 herbs and cured Lakshman's wounds. Lakshman was revived from near death back to life. Hanuman then took back the uprooted hill to affix it at its original place and rejoined the army. Mignas Death. Enraged by the injury of Lakshman, Sugriva ordered his army to take fire torches and attack Lanka. The monkeys soon started setting Lanka's palaces on fire. Many demon families lost their lives. Now Rama let loose his arrows. The giant high doorway of Lanka broke into pieces. During the attacks, Kumbhakarna's sons Kumbha and Nikumbha were killed at the hands of the monkeys. Thus Mignas once again decided to go to the battlefield. But before that, Mignas began his yagya to gain immortality. So Rama sent Lakshman, who disturbed Mignas' immortality yagya. Thus his yagya remained incomplete. Mignas was furious. Both Lakshman and Mignas got engaged in a bloody battle. They were not exhausted even after fighting bitterly. On Vibhishan's suggestion, all the monkeys surrounded Mignas. Lakshman killed his charioteer and spliced off his bow. Mignas went to Lanka and returned with a new chariot. Lakshman continued his onslaught with determination. Vibhishan killed Meghnad's horses. Then, climbing onto Hanuman's shoulders, Lakshman pierced Meghnad's chest using his Indrastra. In no time, Meghnad fell down to the ground, his head broken and his arms cut off. He finally died. A wave of joy ran through the army of monkeys at this victory. Death of Ravana. The joyous shout of Rama's army was enough to convince Ravana of Meghnad's death. Breaking down in his huge chamber, Ravana felt his defeat was near. Yet he had to fight on. Lonely, he prepared for the battle ahead. Ravana mounted his chariot and went to the battlefield. He stood face to face with Rama. Rama shot one arrow after another to cut off his heads, but they grew back again. Ravana laughed seeing them. Rama grew anxious. The gods asked Indra to help Rama. Indra sent his celestial chariot driven by Matali. As the chariot descended on earth, Rama quickly climbed onto it and started firing weapons. Rama took out his Brahmastra, chanting Parvati's name, and aimed it at Ravana's navel, inside which he had tied his pouch carrying Amrit, the nectar of immortality. The potent weapon pierced his body, and the pouch and Ravana fell down dead. Loud cheers echoed through Lanka. Flowers were showered from the heavens above. The gods announced the end of Ravana. Vibhishan refused to do the last riots, but Rama explained that he was after all a brother and had died like a warrior too, so Ravana deserved a proper funeral.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.